Thank you very much, Elvis. Very good morning to you. Now, Israel's ambassador to the United States last month called on the then President-elect Donald Trump to move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv, where it's been since the early days of the state, to Jerusalem. In his annual Hanukkah reception, Ambassador Ron Dermer said such a move would be a great step for peace and help Israel battle efforts to delegitimize the state. Trump first vowed to move the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem during his election campaign. Now, with his words followed by remarks by senior aides underlining his seriousness. Now, to talk to us about this issue, we're fortunate today to be joined by the Israeli ambassador to South Africa, Mr. Arthur Lenk. Very good morning to you, sir. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here.
Interesting is probably the nice way of discussing what's been going on in the U.S. the last week. Before we get to the issue around the embassy, what do you make of Donald Trump's first, it's almost 10 days now in office?
Well, it's new. It's just getting started, and I think everyone knew it was going to be different in that a Republican is coming in after a Democrat. Remember that President Obama came in a Democrat after President Bush, a Republican. That's democracy, and that happens in countries in mine and in countries around the world.
The intention to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem is causing a lot of consternation, if one can call it that, or the intention to do that. What do you make of this?
Well, Jerusalem's our capital, and that's where our Supreme Court is, that's where our government sits. And you know, diplomats here in South Africa stay in Pretoria because that's your capital. And so our capital is Jerusalem, and so I think it would be only natural for embassies to be in Jerusalem.
For more than 20 years, it's been discussed that in order to find a two-state solution, that the embassy should not be in Jerusalem.
Well, the two-state solution is the solution. Israel is ready to talk to our Palestinian neighbors. We were ready before the election in America. We're ready now. And we call on our Palestinian neighbors, let's call and talk. But in any case, no matter how we work it out, Jerusalem's the capital of Israel. It's been the capital of the Jewish people since the time of King David. And that's not going to change.
It is disputed, though, by the Muslim world at large that this is the case. Don't you think that this would send the wrong signal to the Muslim world that maybe discussions are not being held in good faith?
Well, the signal to the Muslim world is that holy sites for Jews, for Christians, and for Muslims are preserved under Israel. And we look around our region in the Middle East where holy sites are and where historical sites aren't preserved. We're the only place where Christians and Muslims and Jews live freely and equally is Israel. And that's going to continue.
Do you believe that Palestinians and the Muslim world have the same claim to Jerusalem that you as Israel have?
Well, the Palestinians do have a claim to Jerusalem. Certainly Muslims and Christians have claims to Jerusalem in a religious sense. But that's what peace talks are about. And I think that it would be good if the Palestinians would stop running to the UN and stop running to Europe and come talk to us. We're the neighbors. You know, in South Africa, the way you made peace was you talked to each other. You didn't talk through Europeans or through Americans or through the UN. You talked to each other. That's the number one lesson I've learned in your country. And that's what Israelis and Palestinians need to do. Israel has repeatedly called on our neighbors. Let's talk, let's find areas of compromise, and let's resolve our problems together.
It's one thing to say you want to talk peace. It's another, it's a completely different thing. The intention, what you put forward, the settlement of or the idea of building new settlement immediately after Donald Trump is sworn in. Surely that can't signal that your intentions are peaceful, or that you want to really talk about these disputed territories.
Well, we say we do, so come and talk. And if you find out that Israel isn't for real, well, then you see it. But again and again, Israel has shown that we know how to make peace. We made peace with our Jordanian neighbors. We made peace with our Egyptian neighbors. They were big enemies at one time for Israel. But we have peace with them now. We know how to make peace. We know how to compromise. The Palestinians need to come to the table and talk to us.
The idea of peace behind walls Is that the kind of a peace that you're talking about? You mentioned Egypt. There's a massive wall between Israel and Egypt. Is that the kind of peace or the kind of world that we want to move forward in?
Well, the Egyptians are battling in the Sinai Desert on the border with Israel with ISIS. And so, of course, there's a border and a barrier that separates the two countries. Do you know if there was ISIS on the border between South Africa and one of its neighbors, you'd put up a fence or a barrier to protect yourselves, wouldn't you? That's your obligation, is to keep your people safe. And so that's what we do too.
Barriers around the world have not proven to be effective over time. We have a history with building walls that haven't worked. Have we learned nothing from that?
Well, I would love for our world to be like a John Lennon song. And we don't need barriers or borders. But Israel's in a really dangerous neighborhood. ISIS is there, and Hamas is there, and Hezbollah is there. They've said clearly what they want to do to us. We'd rather live in peace. Do you know, as an Israeli taxpayer, I wish we didn't need barriers. I wish we could spend all our money on health and education and development. But the truth is the first obligation of a country is to keep their people safe. And at the same time, at the exact same time, we're smart people. We can keep two ideas in our head at the same time. At the same time, reach out to our neighbors and say, we want to live in peace. We want to negotiate a compromise.
Before. Alvis, you've got a question.
Ambassador, is there anything wrong with the current embassy in Tel Aviv?
No. And the truth is it's an important issue, but it's not the only issue that we've got in the world. We need to talk about the threats that come from Iran. We need to talk about the need to send a message to get peace negotiations going again. There are a lot of things and issues to talk about, which is why Prime Minister Netanyahu, like other leaders from around the world, are going to visit the United States, I think on the 15th of February. Prime Minister Netanyahu will meet with President Trump, just like the British Prime Minister was just there, and just like the Egyptian president is going there, and like every other country in the world, like South Africa. We're going to get to know the new American leadership and find ways to work with them.
Will this not cause consternation and confusion, especially in that part of the world?
That Israel and America talk to each other? No, I don't think it does. We're lucky. The Americans are our great friends. They always have been. They were our great friends under President Obama and under President Bush and under President Clinton, and it will continue to be this way. And because we have a set of shared values with Americans, and that's not going to change.
How does I read what the ambassador to America said. He said this move is to increase peace. It would be a great step for peace, actually, is what he says. How is this going to enhance peace and security, specifically for Israel? Don't you feel there's a danger that these kinds of steps, which will be seen as aggressive, how will it enhance your peace with your neighbors?
Well, I don't understand how just recognizing that a country's capital is their capital is aggressive. We know that Jerusalem is Israel's capital, and that's not going to change. So the idea that a diplomat has to get in the car and drive an hour just to visit it, we show that respect to every country in the world. The embassies are in Paris because that's France's capital. The embassies are in London because that's Britain's capital. Embassies are in Pretoria because that's your capital.
But it's not disputed, sir. It's not a disputed capital. This capital is this disputed capital, and there's been a reason why the U.S. Embassy has been in Tel Aviv for the last 20 years.
Well, it's longer than that. But the point is some people in the Arab world dispute that there's any connection between Israel and Jews in Jerusalem. Right? They put forward a resolution in UNESCO not too long ago saying that the Temple Mount somehow had no connection to Judaism and that it's occupied. That's nonsense. Jesus, a Jew, we talked about being at the temple 2,000 years ago. There's an obvious connection to me and to my people. That doesn't mean that there aren't issues to talk about regarding peace. There aren't areas for compromise. Of course there are. But all we're saying is that there's a relationship and a history, and that's my capital. And there's nothing wrong with that.
You have no fears as Israel, then, that these kinds of aggressive postures, as it is being viewed, that these will in some way unite the Muslim world against Israel in the Middle East?
Well, the Muslim world is not united against Israel, nor should it be. We have diplomatic relations and a strategic partnership with some of our Muslim neighbors. Across Africa, we have a relationship with Muslim countries. We respect our Muslim citizens who serve in our parliament, who are justices in our Supreme Court. I have diplomatic colleagues who are Muslims in Israel's foreign ministry. Muslims are equal citizens of the state of Israel with full rights. And our partners in Israel, there's no limitation for Muslims to visit holy sites. We take care of them better than most of our neighbors do.
There are a lot of walls in Israel at the moment that separate and segregate people. Surely that tone and then the building of walls and the settlement on disputed land, surely the two don't go together.
Well, what needs to go together is to stop violence, to reject terrorism. When people come and put suicide weapons or take trucks and drive over people, well, that's scary.
It's also scary when you go and bomb people's countries and then say, where do these refugees come from? They come from countries that have been flattened by bombs.
Well, nobody's bombing any countries. Israel is looking to live in peace with its neighbors, just like we have peace with Jordan and we have peace with Egypt. We want to have peace with our Palestinian neighbors. They're not our enemies. They're our neighbors.
What would be a successful resolution then for Israel in 4 years' time when Donald Trump's presidency is over?
Well, firstly, we're only the first week, and who knows how long it's going to last. But in seriousness, we want to find a way to have better relationship with our neighbors.
Yeah.
The Palestinians, we hope for better days for Syria, right? They're the real problems of the Middle East are Iran, Iraq, Syria, Yemen. Those are things that need better days, need resolution, need peaceful times for their people and for mine.
Your Excellency, I thank you for coming in today and talking so frankly to us here on the Newsroom Show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. That is Arthur Lenk, the Israeli ambassador to South Africa, talking to us, of course, about what is happening in Israel right now and also, the intention of the Israeli government. I thank you for joining us once again.
Thanks very much.
Time now for us to go.